Okay, everyone, I think it's about that time to start the presentation. Hopefully everyone can see my screen. If not, please let me know. So my name is Mark Martina. I'm from TechD, an IBM Premier Business Partner. Today I'm going to review Cognos Analytics, the latest version 11.1.3, and maybe throw in a line or two about what the newest version 11.1.4 is going to look like, which should probably be out soon, possibly as early as this week or next week from what I hear. So that being said, let's kind of continue. All right, again, we're going over Cognos Analytics. 11.1.3 is the latest version. As I explained to a lot of people, 11.1 and 11.0.anything is a big difference, right? So if you currently are an existing Cognos Analytics client, or if you're on Cognos BI and you're on 11.0.anything, it's massively different, in my opinion, than 11.1. Not necessarily different from a user perspective. Like if you're used to Cognos Analytics, then you're going to be fine going from 0 to 1, but the features, the graphics, improvements in mapping, dashboarding, and AI, it's just a different level at this point. 11.1 series came out probably October or early November of last year. And so again, they're on 11.1.3, so there's been 3 revisions since. And 11.1.4, again, should be due out any day now. But it is definitely not the same thing. So if you're looking for rich visualizations, if you're looking for great dashboards, if you're looking for AI, natural language processing, you need to upgrade to the 11.1 world sooner than later. And it's an easy upgrade. It really is. So once you get up and running, you can export from one, import into the other, and voila, you're updated. If you're on the cloud, it's even easier yet. IBM upgrades you automatically, so you don't have to worry about anything at all. But so you know, it is a massive difference. So if you have multiple products in your environment and you want to compare them, always compare Cognos Analytics 11.1.x to whatever else you're actually looking at. It really is night and day, and it is very stable. It's been around for probably about a year now, the whole 11.1 family, with iterations coming out not every quarter. So I think .3 came out in early July of this year, August, September, October, so we're right on track for a quarterly release. So again, 11.1.4 should be out soon, but 11.1.3 is excellent and ready to go. So please upgrade to it if you can. That being said, let's kind of go over our agenda. Purpose here: better decisions, smarter BI and analytics, experience Cognos, deployment options, users share their experience. So just a quick recap. So I'm going to kind of go over, high level what Cognos Analytics really is in relation to kind of what it was. Then I'm actually going to demo the product a little bit and maybe even show a little demo video of it. And I can talk about how you would go to it, deployment, migration, things like that. And if anybody has any questions, please feel free to ask as well. All right, so again, from a high level, so 2021 AI augmentation will generate $2.9 trillion in business value and recover 6.2 billion hours of worker productivity from Gartner. So AI, we've been hearing it for years, but it's really spun up the last year or two, maybe year 2, 3, something like that. So artificial intelligence. So not just what you think, but what the system thinks. What can the system generate for you? And you're starting to see it all the time. Things like, Alexa uses AI and natural language processing under the covers. Some of your email systems automatically, figure out, what you're trying to type and finish your sentence for you. A ton of the IBM products are all being integrated with AI. So IBM's AI kind of comes under the brand of Watson. So again, it's obviously not new because you saw Watson back in the day on Jeopardy, kicking some butt. But now instead of it being a gigantic computer, it's just a layer that's integrated with all their tools. The Cognos Analytics is nothing different. Their security tools have AI built into it. Their ETL tools like DataStage, InfoSphere, all have AI built into it. So why shouldn't Cognos Analytics and also Planning Analytics have AI? That's kind of the way everything's going. So typically your reporting is, I drag and drop, there's my report, there's my dashboard, but it's biased, right? It's biased because you did it. You have a natural bias, whether it's for the data or for the system or whatever, or just because it's what you normally do. The AI system does not have a bias, so it gives you a better look and a better feel at something and a different viewpoint at the exact same data, right? All right, so here's kind of your AI ladder. So we start at the bottom, we work our way up. Collect, obviously we need to collect our data, organize it, analyze it, and infuse it. So the analyze and infuse, that's a data science and AI portfolio. That essentially is where Cognos is really coming into play. So Cognos is no longer an analytics tool. It's no longer just a dashboarding tool. It's also an AI tool. Analyze data. One thing that you see here is IBM Cloud Private for data. It's actually been renamed now Cloud Pak for data. You're probably going to be seeing that a lot. That's IBM's newest offering. One thing IBM is known for is they have a product for anything and everything involving data. So extracting data, transforming it, loading into different data warehouses, putting your analytics on top like Cognos Analytics, SPSS, Jupyter Notebooks, anything and everything. And so the Cloud Pak for data is literally that. It's just kind of the ultimate flex package of everything you need end to end. And so that's their offering for it, and you can just kind of start or stop anything that you might want or not want. So if you haven't seen that, no one from IBM has mentioned it yet, you will. I think in the Forrester Wave, it's like the top, because very few companies, if any companies, have the depth and breadth of products that IBM does. So that's going to definitely show up on your radar if it hasn't yet. Again, it's ICP for D, so now it stands for Cloud Pak for data. It was Cloud Private, though. So analyze data, all right? What are we going to do? What happened? Why did it happen? So those are people analyzing your data, digging deep, your data scientist, machine learning. What should we do? So prescriptive modeling, predictive modeling, based upon the past, what should the future look like? What's going to happen next? How do I transform? How do I integrate? Right? So all this comes under the data science, business analytics category. All these questions, and hopefully the answers, fall under that purview. Right? So just kind of another high-level graph on how it works. You want to collect and organize your data. From that, you're going to have hundreds of questions, maybe thousands. And then, you'll skinny it down and you'll get, a dozen or so insights. And then from that, you'll actually have, decisions that are influenced based upon your insights. So where's the trend going on my data versus my customers versus my products versus whatever, right? And then measurable outcomes. And all of it kind of comes under some type of governance. So Cognos actually has a lot of built-in governance, even though there are additional add-on governance tools. But that's one thing that separates Cognos from a lot of other products is that, it's not some desktop application, even though it shows up on your desktop in the form of a web page. So it's easy for users to get to. The data governance is built in. So whenever you add data to Cognos, you're adding it to a server, you're adding it to a repository, you're adding it to something that's backed up, audited, and has governance built in. Right. Data experts are hard to find, without a doubt, and they're expensive. 119% rise in AI-related jobs, 2.72 million job postings. They're hard to find, they're difficult to place. It's just a difficult job. Right, an expensive position. So what's nice about it is if the system has the AI built into it, you don't necessarily have to be a programmer. You can know Python, Scala, R, no problems. But if you don't, why can't the interface, why can't the tool do it for you? And that's one of the things that Cognos Analytics is now doing. It does have the ability for you to use those languages built in now, but it's going to the direction of, well, you can, but why don't we just do it for you by doing our own analysis built into the system? All right. So the population of professionals in the world is always changing. So it's obviously hard to kind of keep up with it. Do I need a data scientist now? Do I need a consumer now, explorer? What's the field look like? So again, we're trying to get around that and just simplifying it so that we just need somebody who's looking for the data, knows a little bit about the data, and the system itself brings the AI for you. That's the whole purpose of it. And everything IBM's been doing from the 11.1 release on with Cognos is really integrating not just visualizations, but more and more AI. So IBM has all the AI already. What they're doing is they're just embedding it into the system so that you can benefit from it without being a data scientist. If you are, great. If you're not, and with only 2% actually being a data scientist, you probably are not, but you might want that same insight, then that's why this tool's here. All right, so when you add AI to your business intelligence, it's fundamentally changing how analytics are being used, right? So now, instead of just dragging and dropping things onto some type of dashboard, you actually are asking questions. What's my most profitable customer? What's going on with this data? So you actually just type in and ask. The systems can automatically detect patterns. Predictive models can be automatically generated. Systems can learn and respond to user behavior and preferences. That's all the AI, and that's everything that's being brought into Cognos Analytics. So under the covers, you don't even realize it. You drag over a few things, it picks a chart for you. It doesn't randomly pick a chart for you. It says, based upon your data, this is the best way to actually show it. But based upon your preferences and your typical usability, machine learning comes into play and says, well, these three graphs are all great, but your style is this graph, so I'm going to display it that way. That's how the product learns. You really can't even always see all that AI from the front end, but it's in there under the covers as well. So some of it will be very obvious. Other AI that's embedded in the system will be less obvious. Proven platform becomes even smarter. So it's constantly getting better, smarter. There's more features, so each iteration of Cognos, 11.1.1, 11.1.2, 3, they're constantly increasing the AI, they're constantly increasing the smarts, which can do with the natural language processing, and 11.1.4, which should be out momentarily, goes and takes it to another step as well. What's nice is, and what you don't really think about all the time, is it gets rid of that bias. So a lot of times you don't even realize it, but you always look at data the exact same way. You just have an inherent bias because that's how you've always done it. That's what you're used to doing. AI doesn't have that bias. AI looks at it from a 360-degree view and then starts throwing out options, views, way to look at the data. You probably have those biases. I guarantee you have them built in, and you just don't even realize it at this point. All right, so the steps are pretty much prepare, analyze, and then obviously create and share. So IBM has a lot of features built in with Cognos, interactive dashboards, storytelling, which has been improved massively since the older versions of Cognos Analytics, pixel-perfect reporting to collaborate and share across organizations about any size. So I've got clients that have 4 or 5 users for Cognos Analytics. I have other ones that have thousands and thousands of users. So it definitely scales. So it's infused with AI, makes data simple and accessible, and I'm going to show you how you can just drag data right into the system. Governed and trusted, but doesn't have to be depending on what you want to do. You can add your own data to Cognos, which you really couldn't do before. Right. So analyze, data exploration. The AI enables you to ask questions and get answers. Again, that natural language processing. Advanced pattern detection, predictive capabilities. And again, there's no coding involved. The system is just doing this under the covers. It has all these different AI APIs that it uses behind the scenes to be able to actually do all this for you. AI assistant, pattern detection, predictive capabilities, all built in. Visualizations and dashboards. So the visualizations have definitely been enhanced over the years. And from what I hear, 11.1.4, though it's not released, will even give you the option of using third-party visualizations. So I have a visualization that doesn't exist in the system at all that you know. I believe D3 is the standard. You can actually use those D3 charts and graphs in the newest iteration of Cognition that's coming out shortly. So natural language processing, storytelling, and then what's nice too is collaboration for things like Slack. So it actually will directly integrate with Slack. So a lot of companies, some very large companies I know, including IBM, use Slack for their internal communication. It's pretty popular and it seems to just be gaining popularity. So that integrates with Cognition Analytics. So if you have Slack internally as a company, you can easily utilize it with Cognition. Visualizations and dashboard, automated visualizations. You just drag and drop, and it'll automatically pick what it thinks is appropriate. Natural language generation, processing. So generation will actually tell you things about the data. That's a natural language generation. So it's not processing, it's generation. So you're not typing in, and it's not analyzing what you're typing in. It's looking at your data, and it's describing it to you in a natural language. Managed reporting, guided layouts, reusable content. So again, they're trying to make everything easier and simpler. So if you like something, you can kind of just save it as part of your clipboard and start using it in other things later on. And it just makes a guided, easier journey. So everything's a lot easier and simpler to create than it was before. All right. And it's designed for even the simplest of users. And again, the reuse of content is always great. Natural language searches is big, and we'll show you some examples of that. Auto modeling and tool data prep as well. So all those things are built in, and they're constantly being enhanced in Cognition. Data quality and security. One thing Cognition has always been known for is security. It audits everything. It secures pretty much everything, so I either have access to a report or I don't. If I run a report, I might see, 5 customers. Somebody else runs the exact same report. They might see 7 customers or 2 different regions, and I see another region or business unit. So it does detailed row-level security. It also is able to do column-level security very well. So let's say if I run a report, I might see somebody's salary. You run the exact same report, you might just get a whole bunch of X's where the person's salary was. Right? So it's able to lock things down very securely, and it's able to audit everything as well. So it knows who logged in, when they logged in, what they accessed, when they accessed it. That's a big difference between this and some type of desktop tool where you're just dragging and dropping Excel files. Then, of course, governance, it's built in as well. So some of the things I was talking about earlier, auditing, access control, authorization, and then it'll also integrate seamlessly with IBM's, governance catalog tools and things like that, so you can see data lineage from anywhere and everywhere. All right, and you can have it on-prem, you can have it in the cloud, dedicated, or regular cloud, hybrid if you want as well. So it's completely up to you. What's nice, too, is you're not locked in. So if you decide you wanted to go with Cognition in the cloud today, great. Then tomorrow, your company makes a 180, and they're like, everything's got to go back on-prem. You install the software on-prem, you back up from one, restore to the other, you're up and running. So the code is 100% compatible between environments. So I can have it in IBM Cloud. I can buy it and have it on-prem. I can install it on Azure or AWS. Or if I want, IBM actually has the option, I think they're one of the few companies that do, that you can actually have dedicated hardware in their cloud. So I can actually have a dedicated server in the cloud running my Cognition as well. So there's pretty much any and every option for implementing Cognition. And they're all interchangeable, which is great. Right. Put true analytics in the hands of users across your enterprise, your organization. So consumers, explorers, power users, administrators, right? Native AI implementation, one unified environment. Again, massively scalable. I've got clients with 5 or 10 users and other clients with 5,000 plus. And again, you can deploy pretty much anywhere and everywhere. Right? Some customer feedback. So there's actually even videos, and we'll share this, where you can actually see the customer's responses. So with the new Explorer mode, and the Explorer is kind of a newer feature, only shows up in 11.1. They're able to uncover insights they weren't able to find before, and the reason really was that they're always looking at something the same way. The AI doesn't. Right? All right. Zip properties also, the Explore feature they're talking about, the smart assistant capabilities as well. So that's something that was integrated in the newer version, and that's only getting better going forward. All right, so let's kind of do a demo now of a few things, maybe show you just a quick little video here. So I come over here. So this is my Cognition Analytics system. So I logged in. It's really easy to tell what version you're on. You click on the little question mark and you hit the About button. And it says I'm on 11.1 R3. Right, so that's 11.1.3 essentially. So this is the latest, greatest version as of today. Though again, release 4 is due out possibly this week or next week from what I hear. But I don't have an exact release date, but soon. So if you want to upgrade the next week or two, you might want to, go with the R4. But we can discuss that if you want. So if you're on Cognition Analytics at all, it's still going to be the same look and feel. I've got my home, which takes me here. My search, so I can search for whatever data I want. My content, which used to essentially be your My Folders, is your personal content. Below that, I've got my team content, which is shared amongst everyone. Right? And it remembers exactly where you were, which is kind of nice. Recent is things that I've run in the past, recently. So instead of searching through my team content or my content, I can just go here and spin it up pretty quick. Manages all your different admin features. Most people won't see that. And then new. So you'll see here there might be a few things a little bit different. So if you're on Cognition Analytics, you'll have report, dashboard, story, and data module. You will not have exploration. So exploration is kind of a AI dashboarding tool. So what happens is it actually looks at the data and comes up with insight for you. And we'll show you some examples of that as well. All right. But one thing that a lot of people don't realize too is you can just drag and drop data right in the Cognos. So let's say you have a flat file and maybe Cognos has a whole bunch of different packages and modules and all this data in it that you can access, but you just want to mess with your own data. One thing you can do is you can just literally drag and drop files or just browse for files and start graphing or doing whatever you want. So I've got a file here called Telco Customer Churn Tech D. It's a CSV. So CSV and Excel both work. You want it so it's nicely, comma delimited or, columns separated. And I can drag it right here. And as soon as I do, you'll see this pop up. So let's kind of go back and do one of these so you see a little bit better. So if I come over here, quick launch. So I can upload this data. I can create a data module out of it. That's your metadata layer. An exploration, which again is that AI kind of driven dashboard or a regular dashboard. So I can literally just go right to the gun. So in Cognition Analytics 11.0, you have to upload it, you have to create a module, you have to do this, that, too many steps now, it's just go. All right, so I click over here and I go to dashboard. Be a quick launch. Ooh, what happened? Did something wrong. I was sworn I just did that. Oh, I highlighted 2 files, I think. There we go. It's working now. I had highlighted the file and the folder, and it doesn't like that, obviously. So I just did the file, and now it's analyzing the data. I believe somebody asked a question. Where does PowerPlay reside in Cognos 11.1? That is a good question. So some people out there are still using PowerPlay Explorer. PowerPlay was the web interface that, oh man, it's been around since like 7X. And let me just come over here real quick and I'll get back to that question, but let me shrink this guy down. So I uploaded the file, uploaded data right into the system. Now it's saying, well, do I want to use some type of template? If I do, yes. If not, no. And voila, here's all my columns. It's been added to the system. I can see it's already determined using AI if things are location-based, if they're actually text-based, if it's something that's an actual number, it's already analyzed the data and determined what it was. All right. And I'll come back to here in 1 second. So here I'm looking at my new dashboard, but if I want to go back to the welcome screen, I've got this intelligent pull down. All right. So if you have other products, older products, so if you're using Query Studio, Analysis Studio, PowerPlay Studio, which is still supported in Cognos Analytics, what you would do is you would go under New, and under this other category, that's where it would go. Now, in this particular case, I'm using Chrome for my browser. The old stuff only is supported by Firefox and Internet Explorer. So you'd have to be running Firefox and Internet Explorer. Everything new, everything that you're using from Cognos Analytics supports the big four: Firefox, Safari, Internet Explorer, and Chrome. So that's the big four. So I actually have Firefox here. So if I open up Firefox, just to show you real quick, because this screws up a lot of people because they're like, I didn't install it right, or I did this or that or whatever, and it caused me some problems back in the day. So I'm in Firefox, and I log into the system again. And I come into the system, it looks exactly the same. Remember, under the covers, the only difference is I'm in Firefox. Then if I go New, and I go Other, you see now I have Analysis Studio and Query Studio and Event Studio and Workspace. None of those things existed before. They're there, I had access to them, but they didn't support Chrome. Right? So you just need to make sure if you're using the old school stuff, you're using Firefox or Internet Explorer. PowerPlay Studio is not here because that is a non-standard install. And I usually just don't have that in my demo environment because very few people are still on it. No, I don't want to confuse you with PowerPlay cubes as a data source, right? So if you use Transformer and you create a Power Cube, that MDC file, that's a data source, right? That data source can be used by anything. So if you're using Query Studio and Analysis Studio, then you need to be using Firefox or Internet Explorer. If I'm doing something standard, like creating a new report or a dashboard or an exploration or storyboard, I can use that cube in Chrome, Safari, Firefox, or Internet Explorer. All four. So this is just the front end. Under the covers, you know, Cognos can connect to anything and everything, including PowerPlay cubes. It's just when I want to use a front end interface, it was very complicated before. So IBM's getting away from that. Before it's like, well, which studio do I use? Event Studio, Query Studio, Workspace. There was Workspace Advanced. There was Report Studio, Analysis Studio. So the whole purpose of this is to just streamline your experience and make it simple. Right? I want a new report, a list report. I want a dashboard. I want essentially an AI-driven dashboard, or I want a storyboard. Right? They're totally separate things, but they do integrate. So I create a dashboard and have it drill through to a report, which gives me detailed information. So everything still integrates, but they streamlined it. All those studios was very confusing for people, and so they've gotten away from that. So it's still there, but just for historical purposes. Ideally, I recommend if you can, if you're on Query Studio or Analysis Studio still, it's about that time, you know, start to migrate people off. But it is completely backwards compatible, so you don't have to do it immediately. So if I go back here to my dashboard, oops, I'm in the wrong browser. Go back here to my dashboard. So what I did was I just dragged a file into the system, and voila, all of a sudden it just showed up, and now I have a dashboard screen. Right? That's how easy it was. I didn't do anything. It looked at the data. I understood the data. I can come over here, and I can very easily just start bringing things over. So contract, total charges, and I can just drag values right over. And so you might not realize it, but under the cover, that machine learning is kicking into place. So it looks at the data. It says, based upon this data, I think this chart looks great. And if you want to move it around, no problem. You can move it around wherever you want, change it any way you want. And so if I do this and I like it each and every time, it'll always look like this. But if I don't like this chart and every time I come in here, I start changing it to something else, it's really easy to do. I just click on it. These intelligent menus pop up. Right, and I can just switch it to some other chart. Right, so I can do a bar chart this way. Right, if I do that all the time, part of the machine learning, what it's doing under the covers, is it's actually realizing my personal preferences. That's just a personal preference. You know, it's not like the data's different. I'm going to get more or less insight out of it. It's just my personal preference. It's going to remember that. It's going to realize that, and it's actually going to start changing your experience based upon your personal preference. Right. That's one of the machine learning things that happens under the covers you must necessarily see quite as easily. Right. And now, for some reason, my environment here is kind of lacking an internet connection, which has caused me a few problems. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to actually just review one or two things with this video. So I'm not usually a big video guy, but I kind of like this one a lot. And it's really short, but it shows you exactly what I'm talking about.
Great. Let's take a fairly common business question. What tends to make my customers stay customers? I'm going to use some telco data that has a variety of info about my customers. It's a reality of today that meaningful data is not limited to internal corporate sources. Most many analysis tasks start with a data set that may exist elsewhere, such as in spreadsheets. As I drag such a data set into Cognos, I'm given options on how to start. Do I need to prep this data to share? Or do I want to jump right into an exploration? Or do I want to create a dashboard?
So that's exactly what I did.
To help you understand the value of what we've done in Explore, I find it best to contrast it with the familiar. So I'm going to start with the dashboard. As it flows in, notice that it says it's analyzing the data. This is the first instance where the AI is at work. It's running the data through a variety of statistical algorithms, looking for patterns and correlations that are meaningful and interesting. We'll see how that affects our analysis later, but I'll begin with the traditional approach. One easy indicator of how long a customer stays is if they are on a contract. So let's start with that and look at total charges. Dragging those onto the canvas, it will automatically render the best visualization for the type of data I selected. While this may seem simplistic, there is actually a fair amount of machine learning behind this where we trained it to make the appropriate selections. You can see with just a few clicks, I've moved from raw data to my initial visualization and the foundation of my dashboard. And I could continue to construct the dashboard in that way. But what if I didn't know where to start? In addition to this traditional approach, we have introduced the new assistant. Now I can just ask questions in natural language. Suppose I didn't have a data set already. I could ask it to show me the data available. The natural language will interpret my question and respond accordingly. If it's not sure, it will make suggestions or just ask for clarification. Once I have the data, I can ask for any data combination, such as total charges by payment method and contract. It recognizes the data I asked for is in the data set I'm using and offers a variety of visualizations from which I can choose for my dashboard. But this next item it gave me is even more important. One of the biggest risks with traditional self-service tools is the explosion of ungoverned data. But because this is built on the enterprise class architecture of Cognos, data governance is pervasive. In addition to offering the visualizations of the data I started with, it also recognized that this question could be answered with a data module that already exists in the system. This is unfortunately a common scenario in today's BI world. Too many people creating and using their own data sets because they don't know a sanctioned instance of the data exists. But Cognos knows, and it tells them. This is a huge step toward reducing the risk of incorrect data. It's also important to recognize that our search is looking at everything I have rights to see in the Cognos Analytics environment. Data, models, dashboards, reports, all of it. Some of the hot search-based BI tools only use the subset of data you've selected to work with, which creates the chance something important is missed. That's the value of an analytics platform over a tool.
Yeah, so let me actually pause it there for you 1 second. So that was kind of what I explained before. So I can just drag and drop data into the system, make a pretty graph, get some insight, but I don't know where that data came from. Maybe I do, maybe I don't, but if I'm giving a report to someone, it's going to be, unsecured data, it's going to be sketchy data potentially. So ideally, what's nice is that the official governed data is built into the system, but you do have the flexibility to go either way. So a lot of people use tools that are kind of drag and drop Excel data into them and create a dashboard. Looks good, just like this tool, but again, it's not always trusted because 5 people will do the exact same dashboard and they'll get 5 different results because the data's not trusted. Here, we still give you that flexibility because we don't want to slow you down. But ideally, if that data is already in the system and it's already been vetted, that is your source of the truth, and that's the better data to use. But the system will work identically on either or type of data. But again, we just want to be kind of, better than that.
But for now, I'm just going to use the data I started with. I'm going to use one of our newer Marimekko charts for this one. Let's add one more perspective. I ultimately want to understand tenure, so I'll intersect that with the contract and our churn flag. This heat map shows this well. Note that while I've been using recommended visualizations, I can select any of the many visualization types we provide. In fact, we will be extending the machine learning to start adjusting for what you like. So if you regularly select a heat map, you will begin seeing that as the default. Again, the AI is helping me without me having to do anything. At this point, I've constructed a basic dashboard view. For my own purposes, this may work fine, but often when we are sharing content across the organization, we want to add more polish. With Cognos Analytics, you can easily refine the dashboard to create a fully interactive, visually appealing presentation. This is an example of what I might do with the same data and a little more time than I have in this demo. But recognize this is created based on what I think is the most important things to look at. My bias drove my selections. I may see something at this point that confirms my bias, and I may choose to stop there thinking I have the answer. For example, if I were to look at this word cloud, I might start looking at network upgrades to address what appears to be an advantage for our competitors. That may help, but what if something is more important that may have more impact? And what if I miss something? Well, of course, I can continue to do what most tools require you to do. Create more charts, change the items in the charts, maybe add some filters. That's what people think of as data exploration, right? I think the more appropriate term might be data wandering. Think of how many combinations exist in just this simple data set. Where do I go next? What really is important? The reality is, while dashboards are great for data visualization, they are not really well suited for data analysis. I think that is part of the reason we are seeing the surge in demand for data scientists. Dashboards are sort of at a wall. But recognizing that AI can be used to help the average business user do good data analysis, we've introduced our new Explore experience. From any chart in my dashboard or any data set, remember this option when I started, I can start exploring the data with the power of Cognos Analytics AI guiding me through the process. As we continue, remember what I'm trying to learn. Why do our customers stay with us? Well, here I'm given the same visualization I started with in the dashboard, but notice here on the side, this is information it learned during the automated analysis of the data during the load. This adds insights and context to the chart. For example, I can see in the chart that the highest average tenure is when my customer had a 2-year contract, but in fact churned. But in the details, it tells me that this value is unusually high. That's indicating something statistically significant is happening here. I can also start getting an idea of what really drives tenure, as we see here with contracts. I can take that to the next level with the driver analysis.
Now, just so you know, this here is not natural language processing, it's natural language generation. So it is generating language to describe either the abnormalities or the trends or whatever intelligent, useful data it's able to derive from your actual system and your actual input data. So this is the natural language generation. So it's taking something that's technical and making it very easy to see and very easy to read versus actually looking at the numbers and trying to figure out patterns and things on your own.
Note the small green badge. These will appear anytime Cognos has found meaningful correlations between the data. In other words, what is impacting this data element? This driver analysis chart allows me to quickly see a variety of combinations that impact tenure. We show single, 2-element, and multi-element combinations. This is important because sometimes your ability to adjust your operations on 1 or 2 things is easier than trying to address multiple. But we will allow you to consider all of them. With each bubble, the closer it is to the right side, the stronger impact it has. As I select each, it will give me a preview at the bottom that lets me quickly determine if this is the path I want to consider. In this case, I want to consider as much as possible, so I'll select the multiple driver, and it will add this tree view to my analysis. You may have noticed here on the left, as I've taken each step, it creates a new card in my analysis. This allows me to continue my train of thought without regard for saving a particular view or undoing or redoing things. I can always get to any point in my overall path. This tree view shows me how these variables work together to impact tenure. We see the most important variable is total charges. But wait, that's sort of expected. Naturally, the longer a customer is with us, the more money they will have given us. But recognizing that there is always the need to adjust what is considered in the analysis, we made it easy to include or exclude what data is used in the model. I simply deselect it, and it will rerun the analysis and give me a new tree. Now, as I look at this, I can see the interrelationship of these different attributes, and as I look at this branch, I see something that I hadn't considered, our partners. While they are only showing up here in this branch, this is the type of hidden information that can have a big impact on my analysis, and I want to explore this further. My first step is to consider what related diagrams may be available. Cognos will constantly assess what I'm looking at and make available a set of views that may be of interest, sort of like when you're browsing products on Amazon. Here I see one for tenure and partner. Selecting that, I'm given a new card that shows that the average tenure is nearly double when a partner is involved. I'm going to pause here to emphasize this. Let's go back to our dashboard. There is nothing here that shows the context of our partners. Of course, it could be added, and things that are thought to be important would be. But again, that's my point. What if in this example, nobody thought that partners were important? The dashboard didn't provide any insight on this. I want to dig deeper to extend my understanding of the partner's impact.
All right, so hopefully everybody understood that. So what happened is that somebody created a dashboard. Dashboard was a standard dashboard, gave you insight, but kind of skipped a whole bunch of data that was valuable because they usually just skip that data. So this was a great example of how the system itself analyzed everything holistically, didn't care about what anything looked like before, didn't care about what your dashboards are normally like, just went for the data pure and then came up with these different correlations. That was the bias that was just removed.
That is, compare results when my partners are and are not involved. I'm going to start with the same assistant I used earlier. Let's look at total charges by tenure and contract, and then we'll compare that with and without a partner. I can select a chart from the options and drag it into the exploration. As you've seen, I can get a tremendous amount of insight just following where Cognos leads, but we recognize that the need to control what I'm seeing using the traditional visualization approaches is still needed. I can change the chart type to something I prefer. Let's swap how the data is displayed here. And finally, let's drag in partner as a filter, and we'll set that to no. But I also need to see it where we have a partner, so I can duplicate this card and change the filter. Now I can see all of this with and without a partner. And as I switch from one to another, I can compare. I can see that they are almost inverse of each other. Month to month here is almost the same as 2 year on this one. But isn't? Notice the scale. This is one of the more dangerous traps of data visualization. It's very easy to look at the big picture and miss some of the critical details. This is something that happens in all tools. In an attempt to automatically draw the best-looking visualization for each discrete group of data, it will adjust things like the scale. Yes, there are usually overrides for that, but it's the user that has to recognize this and make the adjustments. If they don't, you can have misinterpreted data and bad decisions. Recognizing this type of comparison is very common. We made it easy to do it accurately. Selecting the two I want to compare, I can add a compare card where it will give me exactly what I need. It not only automatically adjusts the scales to provide a valid visual comparison, but it also has added some detailed comparative data here at the bottom. And as I interact with the charts, this will update to give me the insights I'm after. I can continue to explore the impact of our partners to better identify what business decisions I need to make, but I think you get the point. What we've made available is far more advanced than simply building a dashboard. dashboard and wandering around in some visualizations. And remember, I didn't even need the dashboard to get started. Recall when I originally dragged in the data, one of the options was to start with exploration. Had I done that, I would have started with this card. What you see here is a relationship diagram that Cognos Analytics created from its inspection of the data. It automatically recognized key data of interest and determined the relative amount of influence between all the other data. Strength of influence is indicated by the weight of the connecting lines. Recognize that this diagram alone may have taken a data scientist hours to build, but we deliver it to the business analyst in seconds. From here, I can begin an analysis not based on any preconceived idea of what is important to look at, but from what objective statistical models have determined to be the most relevant. As I select any data element in the diagram, Cognos starts building the visualizations just as before. As I add additional items, they change. And even right here from the start, the importance of partners and contracts is clearly evident. From here, I can launch into the same analysis flow I was showing before. Of course, in almost every instance, the results of an analysis needs to be shared with others. And that's where the dashboards shine and their ability to bring together and organize the visualizations to tell the complete story. We've made that easy as well by allowing you to copy-paste content from your exploration directly into the dashboard. What you've seen in this demonstration is how IBM has introduced AI to Cognos Analytics to allow business analysts to go well beyond dashboard construction. Natural language, machine learning, advanced analytics combined to deliver hidden insights at a speed and ease like never before.
So hopefully everybody got that. Just quick recap. Dashboards are great. They're great for displaying information visually to small or large groups of people, but they're really not designed for analysis, a little bit here and there. So what IBM has done is they've added an Infused AI. So it still gives you that dashboard feel where everything's very visual. It's easy to use. It's all drag and drop. But the AI interface does the analysis, tells you what's going on, allows you to really kind of, dig and data mine your data, but still gives you that graphical interface. And that's what the AI is doing for you. So it's night and day, and it's totally a game changer. So if you're on Cognos Analytics 11.0. anything, everything we just showed you does not exist. So you've got to go to .1, ideally 1.3, or if you wait a week or two, 1.4 will be out. So hopefully, does anybody have any questions about that? Thoughts, theories, things you had heard of, liking, not liking? Okay, so we're good with that. All right, and that takes me to kind of back here a little bit, and some of the things I know are coming out in 11.1.4. So obviously everything is being upgraded and constantly enhanced in Cognos. So some of the big ones I know in 11.1.4 are going to be custom visualizations from D3 and other visualization engines. So IBM's done a great job of enhancing their visualizations, but there's always some visualization somebody wants that the system doesn't have, right? It just is what it is. It's how things work. So in the new version, which is coming out shortly, you're going to be able to actually use third-party visualizations inside Cognos itself. How you would install them or implement them, I'm not 100% sure at this point because it's not out, but it will be soon, and so we'll get you that information as soon as we can. Forecasting and visualizations. So one of the big things is if you have Cognos Analytics, planning analytics is, used to be called TM1. That's kind of the planning, budgeting, and forecasting engine. It integrates very tightly with Cognos Analytics, so it looks like they're adding some more forecasting into the Cognos Analytics dashboards and visualizations to kind of show you what's going on and what's going to be going on. That forecasting could be something that somebody manually types in, or it could be something that the AI is actually generating for you. But either way, the visualization is going to handle that better. Improved crosstab performance, if you're in the report writing. The Kpi widgets. So when you look at KPIs, like I sold $1 million this year versus $1 million last year, or what my total cost was, or any of those large numbers you see at the top, Well, that's KPI. And what they're doing is they're creating a widget. I don't have all the details yet, but my thoughts are that the widget's going to have a lot more flexibility in like up arrows, down arrows, different colors based upon, whether it's trending up and trending down. A little bit more with, the legends, some more exploration enhancements, Jupyter Notebooks and reporting. So Jupyter Notebooks has been integrated into Cognos. If you are one of those 2%, statisticians who does, R and Python, Jupyter Notebooks is an open source interface to really allow you to, run those projects and to work with others efficiently. That's being integrated in the reporting as well. And then just the overall smarts and that smart little pop out that you're able to just type in, that's actually getting enhanced as well. So again, a lot of improvements. There are other ones that probably aren't on this list as well, but IBM is going full force with improvements, changes, and everything. So, that being said, I think we went over a lot of things, more of new things in this version than the Cognos Analytics in general, like we've done in the past. I think most people are on Cognos Analytics at this point. If you're not, and you're still on Cognos BI, definitely need to upgrade, but definitely a lot of people I know are still on the .0 release, 11.0. whatever. 11.1 is a game changer in my opinion. It's night and day. All the AI enhancements, all the visualization enhancements, everything has been integrated in 11.1. So upgrade sooner than later if you can. It's a good question. So if you upgrade to the newest version of Cognos, what type of testing do our clients perform? And it kind of depends on what your upgrade looks like. If you're going from 11.0.12 to 11.1.3, you're going Cognos Analytics to Cognos Analytics. You'll do some cursory testing, a couple key reports you're going to try out for things like performance and make sure the values are right, but it's more spot checking. If you do something a little bit more large, like going from Cognos 10. whatever to Cognos Analytics, which is 11.1.3, then it's usually a bit more intense testing. But a lot of times it's still going to be sampling, right? Because it does upgrade very well. So in the past, some of the upgraded with Cognos has been a little bit rough. They've actually done a pretty good job of allowing things to be backwards compatible. Most things are just going to work. If you had some crazy JavaScript or anything like that, that might break on you a little bit. So you got to watch out for that. If you did any SDK stuff, the SDK not necessarily will break, but it needs to usually be recompiled to your newer drivers. Images and things like that usually get messed up because you put them in a different location, so you have to look at those things. But overall, the upgrade experience has been excellent. There's no 3-month upgrade projects. It's let's get the environment up and running. Let's export it from one, import it to the other. Do some kind of high-level cursory tests for a week, get it out to the users, and see what they think. You can run every report if you want to, but I feel like the need is really not there, especially if you're going from Cognos Analytics to Cognos Analytics. Everything seems to work really well, with a few exceptions here and there, but it really does upgrade very well. But no, that's an excellent question. But yeah, so if you want a project to go from an older version to a newer, yeah, it's not months. It's more like days or weeks to upgrade, test, and go live, without a doubt. All right. That was a great question. Any other ones? Again, 11.1.4 is not quite out yet, but it should be out very soon, and we will let you know. But 11.1.3 is the latest graded version with all the AI built in. And again, it supports the big 4 browsers. Only the older features support just Firefox and Internet Explorer. It's a good question. Does exploration work with both relational data and dimensional data? I believe the answer to that is yes. You just put a model on top of it, and everything's available everywhere. So if you have your data in a cube right now, the exploration will work against the cube data source as well. But that is a good question. So cubes have been supported in the dashboards almost since the initial release, maybe 11.03, 11.04, cube support kicked in, and it's been with us ever since. So yeah, I think you'll be fine with an exploration against a cube type data source, whether it's PowerPlay cube, whether it's TM1, whether it's SSAS or whatnot. No, that's a great question. Great. Anything else? Looks like we are coming up to the top of the hour. So I think we're from 1 to 2, so about another minute or two left. Anyone have any questions, thoughts? It's definitely come a long way since Cognos from years back, and it's only getting better, which is great. So that's it. Take this opportunity to thank everyone for your time. I really appreciate it. I know it's hard for people to take time out of their busy schedules. If you do have any questions, feel free to reach out directly, and we will be sharing the video of this as well as the slide deck. But if you do have any questions, again, we're always here, so just let me know. Is there a Cognos 11 workshop in Houston? That is a good question. There are Cognos workshops popping up everywhere. We do them as well. We can also do a remote one, but I'll see if there's an official one in Houston at all coming up, and I'll make sure somebody reaches out to you right away. But IBM and TechD both do kind of groups, workshops, and things periodically. So, yeah, throughout the country. And we can also do something customized if the group's large enough, so that's not a problem either. So there should be something, and I'll definitely find out for you. I don't know if it's called like packages dashboard in a day, but if it takes you a day, it probably took too long. The dashboarding's that easy. But we can figure it out, and I'll send you some information. So. And it looks like we are at 2 o'clock. Well, everybody, again, thanks for your time. I really appreciate it. And, happy reporting.